Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and it's January 2nd. It's a new year. A year filled with hopes and aspirations. Again, people are feeling there's an opportunity for great things to come. And people are hopeful that finally they may see the long-awaited Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD. These Legend of Zelda games came out on Nintendo Wii U and have been rumored to come out on Switch for a very, very long time. Given that not many people had a Wii U, there are a lot of people who don't have these games, they don't have a way to play these games, and even if you did get it on Wii U, you might prefer to have it on your Switch, where it's portable and it's something more readily accessible. And so there's been a lot of excitement and hype and anticipation for these rumored ports. And so given that it is a new year, with a Nintendo Direct likely to happen within the next month or two, I thought it would be a good time to revisit this topic. Is it finally time for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD? That's what we're talking about today. But before going forward, let me point out that we are aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers, so if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, leaving a like is also super helpful, and enjoy the ride as we talk about Nintendo every day. So back in the year of 2021, Andy Robinson, the owner of Video Games Chronicle, one of the most reputable journalism sites when it comes to gaming, on Twitter said something to the effect of, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are 100% coming to Nintendo Switch. Now, this tweet has since been deleted, but he did put out a follow-up tweet, and he said, "Update on this for everyone who's now flooding my mentions. Predicting dates is a fool's game, and I should never have used 100% in the original tweet. Zelda fans, sit tight." So here, Mr. Robinson basically tells us, at least from what I'm interpreting, that he still expects it to happen. We just have to be patient. And I totally agree with the sentiment that predicting dates is a fool's game. To an extent. I don't want to call people fools for predicting dates because I predict dates all the time. However, I do so for the fun of it, with the acknowledgement that, yeah, it is extremely challenging to predict when Nintendo may or may not come out with a game. Let me point out Metroid Prime Remastered. This is something that has been discussed by various insiders for years, including Jeff Grubb, who referred to it as a big boy remaster, not just a basic upscale, not being part of a trilogy collection, but a single game that would be an ambitious remaster, and that's exactly what it was. However, he talked about it and confidently that he expected it to come out for the holiday of 2021, in time for the anniversary of Metroid Prime, and he even staked his hair on it, and was wrong, and then had to shave his head, and then shortly after he shaved his head, in a February Nintendo Direct, Nintendo shadow dropped Metroid Prime Remastered, and it was as exactly as he said, it just came out a few months later. And so, I agree, timing can be tough. With Prime Remastered, Nintendo was actually done with that game for a very long time. It was rated back in summer of 2021, and came out basically a year and a half later. And we've discussed this in the past, how Nintendo sits on games. And Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, well, we know those games have been done, because they came out on Nintendo GameCube, and were then remastered for Nintendo Wii U, and those have been out for years. Now, given that they were made for Wii U, they had Wii U enhancements, they had the second screen, touchscreen controls, gyro controls, Miiverse support, stamps, and all of that. And if they were to be brought over to the Switch, there would need to be some changes. But the kind of changes that they would need wouldn't be anything extraordinary. A very small team could get those done. And so, I'm of the frame of mind that these games will indeed eventually see the light of day again on a modern platform. But when it comes to predicting an actual timetable, that is challenging. But there are some things that I feel fairly strong about that I think increase the chances of these games coming sooner than later. One of those has to do with this fact that, well, Tears of the Kingdom came out last year. And excluding 2022, where Nintendo had to delay Tears of the Kingdom, we've seen regular Zelda releases every single year. And so, there's going to be a year where Nintendo may not have a big new Zelda release planned, And these games may be sitting somewhere in a closet or in a archive digitally, and they will get it out and ready for the market to have something Zelda. I think that is Nintendo's plan, and this could be the year because we don't know what the Zelda plans are for this year, and typically there are Zelda plans every single year. It's not always a big brand new game. Sometimes it'll be a smaller 2D game or a really cool spin-off title or another remaster or even potentially a remake. These are all options. And so Wind Waker and Twilight Princess could perhaps fulfill that role at some point. And I'll say that we've come to expect a great deal of remasters from Nintendo, even a number of GameCube remasters. Emily Rogers is on the record as saying that there's going to be a lot of GameCube remasters coming to the Nintendo Switch. We've seen some already, like Metroid Prime Remastered, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is getting a full-blown remake. There have been the rumors of F-Zero GX. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess I think very much could be a part of that. But I believe this influx of remasters and remakes has to do with Nintendo transitioning over to the next generation. If you look at the ratios of remasters and remakes that have come out over last year and what's due for this year, it's clear that the ratios have changed. And this looks very similar to the ratios we saw for remakes and remasters over new games in the later years for the Nintendo 3DS. And I do believe that this is a strong sign that Nintendo is gearing up for their next generation. They're outsourcing a lot of projects, they're having smaller teams working on projects that are easier, like remakes and remasters, as they get more and more of their bigger studios transitioning over to next generation development. And so, with the talk of Switch 2 coming out this year, even if somehow it doesn't come out this year and it ends up coming out next year, we are still definitely in that transitional phase. And as we progress, Nintendo's going to continue to put more and more remakes and remasters on the Nintendo Switch. And I do believe, the same way they handle 3DS and also based off comments from Nintendo, that even when Switch 2 comes out, there will still be another year or two where the Switch will see support and it will get some remakes and remasters. And so with that in mind, these next couple years, there's a big chance that that remake or remaster even waiting to come onto Nintendo Switch has a great chance to happen. Or at least an increased chance to happen. And I think Wind Waker and Twilight Princess do fall into that category. Now, I feel I should mention that there's been a lot of talk of this Ocarina of Time remake. It is technically rumored, although I prefer to look at it as more of a really good prediction. It's something I've been talking about for a long while, and I've already made videos why I think it's very likely. There's the historical precedence of us seeing Zelda remasters early on next generation consoles when there's not a brand new game, and there are multiple interviews with the producer of the Zelda series, Eiji Onuma, where it seems like he's pretty much hinting at this. But that's another project, and honestly, if it's coming, whatever the remake ends up being, if they do indeed do that as they typically do for these types of transitions, I would expect that in 2025. And so that would leave things open for this year. And that brings me to an interesting rumor we discussed not too long ago from Nash Weedle, where he tweeted out this cryptic message that said CZR 2024. And so people have been trying to interpret what that means. Understanding the history of what Dr. Serkan Toto has done with his Zelda teases, him being an industry analyst that has a pulse and a connection with things going on, and his tweets in the past actually relating to a Zelda announcement, it seems like Nash Weedle is hinting at something here. And while we don't know for a fact if Nash Weedle is 100% a credible leaker, he's gotten things right and nothing wrong to my recollection. But every time I bring him up, I encourage those who have doubt in this person to provide evidence of them being wrong. Actual hard proof. If you got it, show it to me. I would love to see it, because I haven't found it yet. And so, with this tweet, what might it mean? And there's been a lot of ideas thrown out there. Some people like to look at the CZR 2024 standing for Classic Zelda Remake 2024 in hopes that it might be this Ocarina of Time remake we're hoping to see. Some others have suggested, and I kinda thought this made a lot of sense, perhaps a Capcom Zelda remake, so maybe remakes of the Minish Cap or Oracle of Ages and Seasons, and that would be a 2D top-down Zelda, which might make sense because I do feel like we're overdue for a 2D Zelda entry, and that might be a good fit for 2024 in this transitional year where we can get a quality game on Nintendo Switch without there being this strong need to have a Switch 2 version. But here's another possible interpretation of what that hint may have been for. C standing for Collection of Zelda Remasters in 2024. And this one I find interesting, because I'm of the frame of mind that if Nintendo remasters something, they're not going to remaster a remaster and release it individually as a full-price title. They might remake it, but it will be a full-blown thing with new content, something of that sort. And there is a difference between remaster and remake. A remaster has more subtle improvements and is built with the original code. A remake is something from scratch. It's not using the original code. That's a new entry that's greatly inspired and molded after the original release. Of course, the end result of either project can be confusing. But point is here, with Nintendo having remastered Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, I do not think they will remaster them again. In other words, I'm not expecting to just get Wind Waker and just get Twilight Princess in separate years where they just enhance them a little bit more. I don't expect that. But there is a little bit of a loophole here when it's a collection. So for example, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, it included a remastered version of Mario 64, even though there was already Super Mario 64 DS back on the Nintendo DS. Or we can go back to Metroid Prime Remastered. Technically, they already remastered Metroid Prime on the Nintendo Wii. It had improved visuals with quality of life updates with the controls. However, that was a more simplistic remaster, and it was included into a collection pack, a trilogy pack. So what I'm getting at here, this soft rule of not remastering a remaster, I think you kind of bypass when it's a collection. So perhaps this CZR 2024 means Collection of Zelda Remasters, that collection being a dual pack of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. The rumors did come together, given that they already got the Wii U remaster treatment and they're pretty aged already. If they're not going to have any significant upgrades here, just small changes to make it work on Nintendo Switch, I think a dual pack, a collector's pack, makes a lot of sense. And they could even put it together where it has some sort of memorabilia and fans will be very excited, maybe a really fun piece of art or some sort of figurine that comes alongside of it or really nice packaging. I could see something like that. And so perhaps 2024 could be the year when this finally happens. Will it happen though? That remains to be seen. So I don't want to say, oh yeah, for sure it's happening, but I do think that this is potentially the year we see Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, so I'm keeping my eyes peeled. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andre's Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.